Good evening. This is the Land Use and Building Management Committee of the Common Council. I'm calling this meeting to order. It is Wednesday, November 6th at 7:01 p.m. Roll call tonight. We have with us council members Greg Burnett, Nicole Eady, James Freyer, Nicole Ayers, and Heather Dunn, as well as myself, Barbara Smith. First item on the agenda is the public hearing. And I will go ahead and read that. A, request for the naming of the walking track at Malmquist Field in memory of Ms. Mary Roman, a Norwalk resident who left an indelible mark on the city of Norwalk. She called home for over half a century. She was an accomplished athlete who contributed substantially to the Norwalk athletic community. And, just to say a few words before we see if there's anyone who would like to speak, we have had numerous people speak to this committee already. We did approve this item, moving it to the Recreation and Parks Committee. However, we still needed to have this public hearing. So we'll go ahead and move forward with it. So do we have anyone who is here who would like to speak for the public hearing part of this meeting?
Diane Larchella.
Okay, very good. Go ahead, you can move her over. Good evening, Ms. Larchella. You can go ahead.
Good evening.
You have 3 minutes for the public hearing part of the meeting.
Yes, I plan to speak later during public participation on another item, but since I was on this webinar here, I wanted to once again highly recommend and applaud you all for consideration of Mary Roman's naming the track after her. I've often walked the track with people. It's a great place to discuss issues of the day. I never walked it with her, or actually she probably would have almost run it around because she's in such great shape. But I think it's a really fitting honor for her and the family, and shows her dedication to the city. And also, in light of what happened last night, I think it's really good to lift up women when they've made achievements. So thank you for having the public hearing, and I highly recommend this be passed along.
Thank you very much, Ms. Larchella. Is there anyone else who would like to speak for the public hearing?
Diane Cece.
Go ahead, Diane. Hi there.
Hi, sorry, a little delay there. Good evening,
Okay.
everyone. I'm Diane Cece, Olmsted Place, and I just want to speak to the naming of the field for Mary Roman. I definitely am in favor of this. I knew Mary for probably 20 years, I'm thinking, maybe not quite, but an extraordinary woman in her capacity in the community. Certainly in her role as assistant city clerk and then city clerk, and her role in city government. But I also knew Mary more recently with her outstanding athletic achievements in the senior games. I was one of 3 people in Norwalk that grouped together who actually helped Mary Roman be able to get to the senior games in Australia back in 2016. She obviously was qualified, but didn't have the funding to be able to pay for the flights and other things. And myself and my friend Sarah Hunter and Carlene Leiden from her church actually held a fundraiser, and we were able to raise as I recall, it was over $5,000. And that came from all, you wouldn't believe the diversity of the community and the organizations that contributed to it. That in itself is an unbelievable tribute to the person that Mary was. I miss her to this day, I can tell you that. And it would be great if this field is named in her honor and as a reminder. I also want to say that the following year, I was particularly proud to be one of Mary's couple of guests when she was inducted into the Connecticut Masters sports group, and was named the athlete of the year that year, representing Norwalk as well. I won't go into her athletic achievements. I'm sure other people will speak to that, or you may have heard of those before, and they're probably in the resolution. But what some people may not know is, you know, in Mary's life, she overcame a lot of adversity, I'm sorry, with health issues and personal family issues, and didn't even take up anything with athletics until she was, I think, in her 70s, following a heart attack. So I really can't think of, and I don't normally, you know, jump out to support these things, but I felt compelled to do it tonight for my friend Mary. I miss her, and I'm so pleased that that you're looking to do this. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your words, Ms. Cece, and sharing that story. We see, okay, Mr. Mataferri, Joe Mataferri, I see is in the attendees. If we could also, and can I just say, I see our council president, Darlene Young, is in the attendees. Could we just move her as a panelist? Just go ahead and move her over. And Mr. Mataferri, you may go ahead and speak. And thanks for coming again.
Thank you,
Mr.
Barbara.
Mataferri? Mr. Mataferri, did you want to speak?
Yeah, I did. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay. So those last two speakers were outstanding. They really spoke highly of Mary. She deserves it. I got to know her when her kids were at Brian McMahon, and I played sports, and she was very active in all of our athletics, parents clubs, and so on. And I think it's so appropriate to name that track after her. You know, she worked in City Hall in the mayor's office, but she was a big part of youth athletics. And as she did get older, she was a hell of an athlete, and she accomplished a lot. And she left a legacy, and she was a special woman. And that last week before she passed, she was at an old timers meeting on a Tuesday, and the following week she passed to COVID. I think she was the first victim in Norwalk that passed to COVID. So I hope you do pass this along. And you know, there's an old timers dinner next week, and their older son, their younger son, is being honored. And George Albano and I, and also George, talked to the mayor about having him announce it there. The kids know nothing about it. You got a huge crowd of Norwalk people. It'd be outstanding if they can announce it at the dinner next week. It really would. And the cost factor of it, they are redoing the annex there, the track and so on. But if there's a problem, we will work it out. If there's a problem with the money for the cost of the sign. Okay.
Thank you.
I'll
Thank you
pass
very
it.
much. And then Ms. Young, did you want to say anything on behalf of?
Yes, Chair, if you wouldn't mind, thank you for letting me
Yes,
in.
of
I
course.
just briefly, I can't say any more than what's already been said by the participants. And I'm just thankful and grateful that we were able together as two committees to move this along as quickly as we have. And hearing this, what everyone had to say, I don't know how anyone could be against this. And so I'm just pleased that we're moving this along in honor of Mary Roman. I had the pleasure of working with her when I was the assistant city clerk and she was the city clerk, and she was an outstanding woman, period. I mean, just in so many different ways. So thank you to this committee. Thank you to the folks who spoke this evening. And we're just looking forward to getting this done as quickly as we can.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Mr. Burnett?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I don't know if it's appropriate, if it's in order for me to make a comment.
You go ahead. Absolutely.
Thank
I mean,
you.
we're going to speak, we'll, vote on this in a few minutes, but as a, as a council member, I absolutely think it is appropriate. For you to-
Thank you, thank you. And yes, I totally support this honor for Mary being involved in the track and field arena as an official. I've seen Mary across the country perform, and her achievements do not only exist locally in the state of Connecticut, but as mentioned across the country as well as the whole world in terms of master athletics. And she has several achievements, several medals, and but most importantly, she was just so welcoming at each track meet in terms of just embracing all the senior athletes and encouraging them and just supporting them. So this will be a fantastic tribute that is several people will totally embrace for her efforts. In terms of a question, if it's appropriate, um, and maybe Chairman Young might have the update from the Recreation and Parks. Do we have a timeline as to when the updates to the walking track will be done?
Greg, I don't have anything to share right now, but I think we're working towards making sure that it's coordinated as quickly and efficiently in the right way. But it's moving along.
We'll see if we can get an answer to your question soon, Mr.
Yeah, we'll get an answer.
Thank you.
Okay.
And the
is-
goal was to make sure that this sort of coincide as much as we possibly could, but as soon as everything is done, and whatever makes the best sense of how we put the signage up, we'll make sure that we do everything the right way. But I'll let you know.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the attendees who would like to speak during the public hearing? All right, it looks like not, so I will go ahead and close the public hearing. Also for the record, please note that Councilmember Dewan Wiggins, who is on this committee, arrived at 7:08 p.m. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is public participation for items on this agenda. So I know Ms. Lauricella had said she had some comments, so could we just move her over again? Go
Thank
ahead,
you.
Ms. Lauricella, you have 3 minutes.
Smith. For the record, my name is Diane Lauricella, 21 Little Fox Lane. Wanted to comment on one of the latter items on the agenda related to updates of the school construction. This has to do with photovoltaic panels on schools and public buildings. I just wanted it be known for the record, especially for the newer council members like Ms. Edie, that over the last at least 10 years that I have recommended that ground-mounted solar always be part of the mix of what the possibilities are for including clean energy measures on our public buildings and our schools. Included in that is, of course, roof-mounted and also carport solar. So I'm very pleased that there's been a mention for the South Norwalk School on some land that could add to the square footage of making electrons. However, in the last sentence on your action item requested, I think it is a typo, I'm hoping it is. I ask that you add a few words. After the phrase under action requested, parentheses, in lieu of a partnership with SNU, close parentheses, to install rooftop, and add please the phrase, the 3 words, and ground mounted solar. That sentence just has rooftop solar, which is not embracing the enthusiasm that Mr. Lowe wrote up in the background on this proposal and these plans with SNU and CMEC. So I would be quite surprised that ground mounted would not be added at the end, and I ask that this committee do so. And that would show me as a longtime professional who in green management and environmental design helping people green up their properties, both public and private, that it would be great to show and prove that we are trying to add PV opportunities for this.
2
And
minutes.
again, based upon what happened last night, I think the reason I decided to mention what I have done or tried to do with this administration is to lift up women that have special knowledge so that they are included in decision making and also asked to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Larcella. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in public comment? Does not look like it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close public participation and move on to the minutes of the previous meetings. First, to approve the minutes of the September 4, 2024 meeting. Do I have a motion, please? Mr. Burnett? Thank you for that motion. Yeah, those minutes, we did not have the complete set of minutes. We were missing a page, and so we just moved it to this meeting. I do have one small change, which is in the first full paragraph under the school hazardous materials remediation. A little further than the middle, Chairman Smith asked if there were currently floor tiles at Fox Run needing repair, not waiting for use. So it was needing repair. Was there anyone else who had any changes, deletions? Oh, okay. Seeing none, I will call for a vote. All in favor of the September 4 minutes as amended, please raise your hand. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, Mr. Wiggins abstains, and otherwise all in favor. Moving on to approve the minutes of October 2nd, 2024. Do I have a motion? Mr. Frayer, thank you. Are there any changes, deletions, omissions? Ms. Ayers?
Yes, I would like to make the correction of my name. It is misspelled.
Oh, it sure is. Yep,
It is Nicol is the correct spelling.
I see that. Okay, anything else? Okay, seeing no more changes. All in favor of the minutes of October 2nd with that amendment, please signify by raising your hand. Okay, opposed? Abstentions? Mr. Wiggins abstains. Okay, otherwise, all in favor. Move on to old business. Excuse me, review request for naming of the walking track at Malmquist Field in memory of Miss Mary Roman and refer the following to the Common Council for action. Approve the naming of the walking track at Malmquist Field in memory of Miss Mary Roman, a Norwalk resident who left an indelible mark on the city of Norwalk. She called home for over half a century. She was an accomplished athlete and contributed substantially to the Norwalk athletic community. Will someone move that, please? Mr. Burnett, I know, proudly moves that. We've had a great deal of discussion on this. It's been back and forth between our committee and Recreation and Parks. I know we all feel very strongly about supporting this. And so are there any other comments or questions that anyone has? All right, seeing none, I will call for a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. That is unanimous. Thank you very much. That will go to the Common Council next Tuesday, to our Tuesday meeting, and become official there. And I'm sure it will. Moving on to new business. Item A, Board of Education. Review bids for student locker replacement at Rhoton Middle School and refer the following to the Common Council for action. A, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with Hertz Furniture for the student locker replacement at Rhoton Middle School for a total not to exceed $159,900. Funds are available and account number noted. And B, authorize the NPS Facilities Department to issue change orders on this contract for a total not to exceed $15,990. Funds are available and account number noted. Will someone move the items, please? Ms. Ayers, thank you very much. So I do know that we did approve the student lockers in the capital budget process this past year. Does anyone have any, Alan, anything specific? This was the low bidder.
No, I don't. It's this item is actually coming from Bill Hodel. He may
Mhm.
be on the
I don't
the
see him.
waiting, yeah. But maybe the committee doesn't have any questions, but it's somewhat straightforward in the sense that
He's in he's in the attendee list.
Ah, thank you. I was just going, yeah, oh, yeah. Could we move Bill Hotel over, please?
a little Bill, you moved it.
Good evening, and can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So yes, it was approved in the last capital budget to replace the aging lockers in the middle schools. They're in pretty bad shape, and the ones in Rowton in particular are in worse shape. And the fact that they are so damn narrow, they are 8 inches wide and they are full height, but you can barely get a book bag in there, a backpack. And we've seen the students trying to attempt to pull it out and shove them back in, and they're tearing their book bags and whatnot. The lockers themselves, while they lock, they jam, they freeze up, and they are original to the building. So we went out to public bid, and Hertz Furniture, which does a lot of work for the many municipalities, including the Norwalk Public Schools, has come back as the lowest bidder. We've actually taken a look at the budget, and they came in so low, we may be back with this committee to do a second school next summer. We might bid out Ponus Middle School as well. So what we have here is full locker replacement to wider lockers, same height. We're going to go from 8-inch wide to 12-inch wide. And there's a lot of parent pressure here as well as student pressure. So we're really looking forward to this project.
Thanks very much, Bill. Yeah, I fully support this. And I know it was talked a lot about during the capital budget. I have seen firsthand how bad those middle school lockers are. I've talked about it in this committee because I had students right outside my door when I worked at Ponus trying to jam things in those lockers and having to take 3 people to, try to get it open. And it really, really is a very serious need for our kids. So I'm in full support. Are there any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, I will call for a vote. All in favor? That is unanimous. Great. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to B, building management, item 1. Authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with ADT Security Services for the CCTV and security monitoring services at 3 Belden Avenue at a total cost of $1,460.40. Funds are available from the following account number noted. Will someone move the item, please? Mr. Freyer, thank you. I just want to point out this item and the next one. These are multi-year contracts, which is why we are seeing them. They seem small amounts, certainly well below the 100,000 that we have set for needing to come to the council, but they are multi-year, which is why we need to vote on them. And so go ahead, Alan. I'll turn that over.
Yeah, it just sounds a little bit redundant from what you just said. It's I think when the common council approved the ordinance requirements for items that go into council for approval, anything less than $100,000 does not need to necessarily go to common council, but multi-year contract. I think one of the minor issue that created is that for service contract, which is a little different from you go lease a building for $200,000 a year kind of thing. these are very minor items. I mean, this one is for $1,400 a year. The other one is $480. But the way the ordinance is set up is that multi-year contract need to go for, and these need to go for common council. So I think that in the future, when there's a chance when we do amend the ordinance again, kind of thing, we should look at this and start to try to delineate service contract versus, leases or other kind of heavy financial relationship kind of contract. So I think that's something we should consider, because otherwise all these little small items need to go to common council. The other thing that we should also consider in the future is that, even a smaller contract, I mean, a purchase order is, generally speaking, is a agreement. But at the same time is that for security company, you want to sign a contract, the mayor had to sign that agreement. I think at some point with a small amount, I think department has to have some ability to execute those agreements, because I don't think it's necessary the mayor should be necessary to sign an agreement for 3 years for $480 a year. I think to make government more efficient and our work and council work more focusing on things that really is substantial kind of thing. I think that those are things we should consider when we do look at the city charter again, kind of thing. So, but meanwhile, this very minor item, and also it's somewhat straightforward. It's just because of the way the statute is set up, so we have to go through and send this to the council for approval. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's an important item. The security is important. Yeah, I do think, when we do make these changes, when we, recently made that change with the $100,000 limit there, things pop up, right? That suddenly we realize, oh, we could have included this. So I agree with you that it's something we should look at and clean that up a little bit. Anyone have any questions or comments? All right, all in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to B2, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute a 5-year agreement with Security Specialists, a division of Alert Systems LLC, for the security monitoring services at South Norwalk Library for an annual cost of $480. Funds are available from the account number noted. Will someone move that, please? Ms. Dunn, thank you. Same thing there. Are there any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, please signify if you are in favor by raising your hand. Oh, Mr. Burnett, you had a question? Or you're voting?
Yeah, no, I had a quick question, Madam Chair. Just curious, both of these items are security monitoring agreements, but there's 2 different companies. Have we looked into trying to get some savings, or if any savings could be achieved if we use one company to do all the security monitoring? Like, for example, ADT could cover 3 Belden as well as the South Norwalk Library. Is there a reason why we had to use different vendors
Yeah,
to
so
do the same work?
I can answer that. So 3 Belden's new to us. That is the service contract in place for the next 3 years. We're just there's equipment costs that are already on the property. Once we're outside of that contract, we will look to roll them probably over to Security Specialists. But right now, there's additional costs like cameras, intercom systems, and the system that's in place that had a 3-year deal in place. So we're just going to run out that time.
Okay, great. Thank you for that update.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Neil.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, that is unanimous as well. All right, thank you. Okay, moving on to school construction project updates. South Norwalk Elementary School.
Yes, Joanne, would you be able to upload those pictures and stuff like that? So.
Yep, I will do
Meanwhile,
my best.
Huh?
Yes, I'll find it. Yep.
Yeah, meanwhile, I think South North School is moving very effectively or efficiently kind of thing. As you probably see from the package, the building, the steel is all completed. We had about a month ago, a little more than that. We have the topping ceremony that we did over there. And right now they are doing the block walls on the interior for the stairwells and all. We're looking to start brickwork in another month kind of thing on the exterior, so we go through the whole winter. But it is moving very quickly. Beyond that, I think we are all the trades are on schedule. So I said this typically for all our school construction projects, we are scheduled to finish this project by end of summer 2025. So in another 10 months or so, whatever it is, 8 months or so, with this project scheduled to finish. But we won't know until by middle of April or so, because there are times that construction project there's potentially there are contractor that doesn't perform or something that affect the completion of the project. So as much as we are on schedule, I will advise the committee and the city and the Board of Education by middle to end of April that we are on schedule to finish so that we can complete the project. Probably another month or two, we'll be going out to bid on the furniture package. So that package will be coming to So once we get the bids, we'll submit it to the committee for approval and anticipate to deliver furniture by end of July. So again, everything's on schedule, and the confirmation of completion date will be in middle to end of April. So as you can see, there's some of the pictures. It's more than come out of the ground. You know, it's you know, I think the roofing work is starting either next week or something like this week, next week kind of thing. So anyway, overall, we are doing well in that project. Maybe any questions?
Can I ask a question, Chair?
Sure.
Sure.
Go ahead, Ms. Young.
So, and maybe you've shared this, but if you can just say it again, what types of energy efficiency, solar, like what kinds of energy efficient things have we put in and are going into this project?
Yeah, for all our project, there's this very there's this all school construction project. We are required to meet or exceed the high performance building standard. And there's a whole rating system that we have to comply with. So in terms of installation, in terms of equipment, this building right now is, generally speaking, I would say 75 to 80% of the building is electric. The reason why electric is because we're using heat pumps. Heat pump is run by electricity. So again, there's a whole rating sheets. There's points for everything we do in terms of energy consumption, the thickness of insulation, the decking material, and on and on. So this building meets all of that requirement. Later on, as a separate item, I'll be talking about the photovoltaic, I guess better word, issues that we've been having in terms of trying to accomplish that. As you may know, the city, the land use committee has directed me for all major construction projects, we will look to PV as part of our design criteria for all these buildings. And also the committee also requested and required us to submit a energy evaluation at the beginning of this project. So that evaluation had came to the committee probably, I would say, maybe a year ago, when all the options in terms of whether we do geothermal or whether all the evaluation and what type of heating system and all that, it came to the committee for a presentation, again, more than a year ago before this project went out to finish construction. So we are complying with all those requirements. That's although it's not written, it's something that's put up on me to make sure that these projects all comply with the intent or the objective of the city to make these buildings as energy efficient as possible. Well, typically on these solar projects, when as we finished Honus, Jefferson, and Cranberry, we do go through the city has previously approved a energy solar developer. Currently it's Vergy. So after the project is finished, they actually execute a power purchase agreement with the Board of Education to implement solar panels onto this building. So we typically finish the building as a capital project, and then I typically want to wait at least 6 months before I put solar panel on. That's a separate project. The reason being is that even when we put a brand new roof on, many times there's miscellaneous leaks that happens, and so there's a period of refinement. I'm not sure that's the right word here, but to make sure that the miscellaneous leaks are taken care of, and I want to give the roof system a little bit, even though they're warranty, it will be repaired and patched up by the manufacturers. I do want to go for a period of at least 6 months of use before we put a solar system on, because otherwise, when we try to fix those leaks, we have to go remove the panels to access those leaks. So again, so we do the energy evaluation in the beginning, present to the committee, and then solar panel is also a part of the project at the minimum. So for the rooftop solar.
Thank you. So I have another question?
Go ahead.
So I know because this is an industrial area, and the particulates and all the things that float through the air, and I know we had talked about our windows, or something was mentioned about windows, the ability to, I don't think we'd want to open them, but are there special kinds of windows that we're putting in? Or is there need for any special types of windows, particularly in the front of the building?
It's kind of interesting. We debated these questions many times. So almost every building, every school building we do. But what happens is that a lot of times the teachers in the building always want to be operable window. Because of energy efficiency, the engineering team do not want a like operable window, because when people open window, it overrides the system. So it's harder for us to control the air, the energy efficiency of the space. So for back then when we did the fire headquarters, there was a desire to have some operable window. There's actually devices that we put into the building that tie to the building management system. They actually control when you open the window, the system shut down kind of thing, because otherwise you'd be heating or cooling the building while the windows are open. We went through this discussion many times for Jefferson and Cranberry. The decision is not to have operable window, because these are fully conditioned buildings in terms of heating and cooling. And also fresh air intake comes into the building. There's a very rigid regulation about fresh air coming into the building so that people don't fall asleep, I guess, in the building kind of thing. In any event, so in turn, just because the building doesn't open doesn't mean that the occupants do not get fresh air just because the window doesn't open. It is fully conditioned space with indoor air quality controlled and managed. So yes, these windows do not open, but at the same time, all the air that comes in the building is filtered and monitored and controlled, so that sufficient fresh air comes into the building.
Did you have any other questions, Ms. Young?
Yeah, yes, I did. I was talking to myself. I guess I was saying, Alan just brought up another question for me. So given the air quality too, so the filtration system has to be able to deal with this adequately, I'm sure.
Yes.
Okay. Is it a different system? Is it different from any other school? Is it made to deal with I don't know what you call, I don't want to say dirty air quality, but with fumes and things?
It's very interesting, because I remember the days that a few years ago before COVID. I think sometimes during the spring, and especially springtime and fall, sometimes the air quality in terms of pollen and mold, the count's actually higher outside than inside the building. So if you open the window, you actually bring more pollen or more mold into the more spores into the building. So after June and after COVID, the standards for filtering has improved and increased. So these buildings meets those requirements. So the air from outside air that comes in, it's filtered to the point that they're meeting all the latest requirement kind of thing. So those filters, generally speaking, I'm not sure you can buy. I'm sure you can buy cheaper filter, but the filter that being used for this building and design, the way it's designed, it's one of the higher end filters that we are required to use because it's a high performance building.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
Mr. Freyer.
I had a quick question. Alan, looking at this building that's on the screen right now, is that what I'm seeing from, let's say, Wilson Avenue? And is that South Main Street to the right?
That's correct. South Main's on the right.
Okay. Because I tell you that building looks enormous. And is that going to be the actual front of the building where kids are going to be dropped off?
Right where on the bottom of the drawing, that's where the front of the parking lot is in the front.
Okay.
And also we are in the process of acquiring the area on the right side, which is on South Main Street. And there would be it's going for eminent domain. And what our goal is that we're going to put a walkway through, and we also bring utility from South Main Street into the property. And traffic and mobility is working on the whole intersection, as you know. Doing the rotary at the corner. At the same time, is that we are going to look to put a drop-off lane over there so that people coming from the upper portion of South Main Street can come down this way, drop off the kids, and go through the rotary and go back north again. So just want to let you know, since sometimes I talk too much, right?
No.
As we talk about this stuff, just want to let you know that right now, the South North School, which is currently operating in Old Columbus School, I believe they've been there 3 years. So generally speaking, they have pre-K, K, first and second grade, that's 4 years, or 3 or 4 years, something like that. So when we assuming that we open on time in September next year, we will probably add 1 more grade to this building. So the building first year, this building will not be fully occupied. It's really a transition into building up the facility, which makes sense somewhat because, in fact, I have a conversation with Sandra from Board of Ed just today about how the strategy of Board of Ed to fill this school. But as I think they may, I'm not sure we as a city and Board of Education, because the kids are going to different schools right now, whether Silver Mines or Cranberry or whatever it may be. We're not sure the parents want their kids to the third, fourth graders would actually want to come to this place the first year because they may be used to the school, they may want to finish where they are now, kind of thing. And also, it's a little bit of a challenge because if you have 20 kids and 20 South North kids in one of these schools, doesn't mean they're all in the same grade. So if in terms of staffing the new place, so there may be a little challenge and cost involved because if some kids move to here, but yet the existing school will not reduce in terms of classrooms, number of teachers. So maybe it's more cost effective to operate the first couple of years with a little less population, and also give us a little more opportunity to finish all these secondary projects that including the traffic intersections and walk and the sidewalks in the neighborhood and stuff, traffic mobility, to do those projects while the school is not fully occupied. So there are different thoughts and strategy kind of we're looking at and considering.
I think it's just a spectacular looking building. Every time I drive by it, it's going to be it'll be a monument down there, and just make everything else look tired and old, which it is. So congratulations. I think it's great.
Thank you. All right, quickly, assume there's no more questions, if you don't mind. Norwell High School, because it's a bigger project, it seems like Norwell High School and South North School started about the same time, but Norwell High School is a much bigger project. It's 300,000 square feet. Meanwhile, South North School is probably like 80,000 square feet. So it may seem a little slower, but at the same time, it's because it's a bigger building. So number of things been going on in terms of excavation foundations and this picture is actually this is the pool that because the pool go into the ground, so this takes a little more effort. So not sure that much more to say, but the pool. The slab for the pool has been installed. Now they're doing the foundation, the foundation walls around the pool. They look into a continuous pour for, I think it's maybe next week, I think. And the rest of the site, some of the foundations been in, you can see the foundation stick out of the ground kind of thing. But at the same time, they're doing utility piping below grade, and that's what they're working on right now. They are on schedule, and I think steel erection is going to come probably, I think it's late January, early February. So we are continuing to be on schedule. And we are sensitive to King Street neighbors. Since the beginning of the project, there was concern about, the truck traffic coming in and stuff like that. So, and also dust, we actually have somebody actually doing dust control and sweeping on King Street so that to minimize the impact on the neighbors and stuff. And there's delivery coming in, construction delivery coming on King Street, but it's all controlled because we don't do it while the Narrowmick school parents are dropping off kids and stuff. So there's certain limitation when the trucks can come through King Street. I think that's pretty much what I have to say.
Well, did you want to touch on the HVAC improvements? There's really nothing happening right now, right?
Yeah, we are middle of design phase. There's a HP project total is about 6 schools. In case you don't know, it's Brookside, Marvin, Brian McMahon, Silvermine, Narrowmick, and Rowayton School. So the 6 school, we got approval of a special funding from the state so that we can eligible for 60% reimbursement. Typically, some of these mechanical replacement do not get reimbursement from the state, so the city will be paying 100% of the cost. With this special grant, we get 60% reimbursement. To combine all 6 projects, it's about $36 million. So it is a substantial funding benefit. But at the same time, it's that $35 million for one project is one thing. $35 million for 6 projects, it is a lot of work. So we do have somebody in house right now to help manage these projects, and we have hired the engineers already. They have completed or near completion the design development. We are looking to go out to bid in January or probably like February. It's very challenging because the schools that needs new electrical service, delivering a electrical switching gear takes about 10 to 12 months. So we are looking at the schedule and how these things work, and also mechanical equipment probably takes about 6 months for delivery. So we are working very hard to actually develop a phasing plan to see, also abatement too. A couple of schools probably have abatement issues. So when we do abatement, do we do the abatement this coming summer and then construction the year after? So all of those being considered and assessed right now. So yeah, it's somewhat challenging. It's not so simple. But anyway, so we are moving along. We are very active on these all 6 projects. So when we go for approval, each one of these will be a separate project because they are, in the state's mind, they are separate projects. So so even we go out to bid, it'll be separate bids that the city need to approve and contract with. That's all I have.
Thank you. Okay, any questions? All right, so let's move on now to item 2 under school construction. South Norwalk photovoltaic recommendation. Review update on the potential partnership with SNU CMEC to develop PV renewable energy generation at South Norwalk school site, and resolve that with SNU's favorable electric rates to South Norwalk community, the financial viability of PV installation is negatively impacted. Therefore, the city will move forward to consider other installation options in lieu of a partnership with SNU to install rooftop solar at South Norwalk School. Can someone move that Ms. Dunn. Yeah, so you gave us a very detailed memo on this, Alan, and I understand the challenges, but I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over to you to go through everything that you have been exploring and working with SNU. I know you've had many, many meetings. So I'll just turn it over to you to discuss.
Yeah, the first comment I want to make is that I came up with this idea of because of the unique topography of the site, there's a portion of the property on South North Street that really not accessible, which is we're on top, because ADA compliant, and also we don't really need that space up top. So it was kind of ideal to do a ground mounted system. So I came up with this idea that, to maximize renewable energy production, we can use the rooftop as well as the ground mounted system. Joanne, could you put that plan up, the study, which have a drawing on it? So for more than a year, I've been before was Leisha King, but after Leisha moved on, Tom Livingston has been involved in this conversation. So we've been actually meeting with SNU somewhat regularly, and to see where there's a partnership that we can develop to work together on this thing. SNU have many different requirements, so it's not a simple thing that we can do. Generally speaking, when you combine the rooftop system and the ground mount system, we will produce more electricity than actually the building uses, which is a great thing. But at the same time is that SNU, because it's a municipal utility company, there's a requirement that we cannot generate more than 70% of the consumption requirements. So, but since this is over that, so that's why we do. I was looking for a partnership with SNU so that together we can state that we are generating renewable energy as a joint venture partnership. Can you go down a little bit? Go to the next page. Keep going. I want to show this the site plan. So yeah, can you slide over a little bit? Okay, so this is the upper portion of the site. The new building is actually down below a little bit. So basically, the blue area is within the setback line. The orange portion, it's there kind of thing. So when you combine the green, the blue, and the orange area, we can generate around. Actually, the numbers are here. I think it's like a million kilowatt hours per year, and then the rooftop generate around 300,000 kilowatt hours per year. Total is about 1.3, but that's DC power. When you convert the AC power, it came out to be about 1 million kWh per year kind of thing. Because the amount of electricity is generated, this partnership with SNU require us that we generate electricity and feed it directly to South Norwalk's grid. So it's not like we generate the electricity and use it for the building. We actually generate this power. It's more like a solar farm. We generate it and feed into the grid. Meanwhile, the electricity we use will come from the grid. Kind of goes around a little bit, right? At the same time, we will pay for the electricity based on the normal consumer rates. One of the financial challenge here is that SNU as a municipal utility company, there's two things that they do and don't do. They do not collect more money as incentive, so that they can incentivize solar projects. So they don't collect additional money from South Norwalk residents and businesses and put that money aside to finance, to give it back out as a incentive. So unlike Eversource, when we go with Eversource, they would provide incentive money. SNU doesn't have that program because they don't collect the money from the consumers. The second thing is that SNU as a municipal utility company, their generation rate to South Norwalk residents are very low. It's slightly higher than the wholesale rate. So when you compare to like when you build a system like this, the savings, it's not enough because they don't charge a lot, so that so that when the construction cost is high and you're not saving enough money because the electricity generator is higher than the cost of what they would have to buy electricity from the wholesale market. So it's not very enticing financially because they end up paying more money for electricity generator here because we don't charge enough. So the financial performance doesn't look good because it's a good thing for the residents of Norwalk, but at the same time, South Norwalk, but at the same time, financially it doesn't look good as a financial performer. Because again, they give those rates to South Norwalk residents at a very low rate, and then when you generate electricity, it costs so much money, so it's not cheaper to generate electricity on that site. So anyway, so when we went through this for a year and a half, me and the SNU worked together with CMAQ. CMAQ is the group that helped the 6 municipal utility company in the state as the managing company kind of thing. So we have many conversations, and at some point, SNU and CMAQ went out for RFP for solar developer for proposals to get a financial performer to see how much it costs to do this project and what would the unit cost of green energy that this project would generate. Based on all the evaluation, there's a whole report by SNU, and there's all these numbers. I couldn't even explain all the numbers. That's why I didn't provide it at this meeting. But based on what their evaluation is, they feel that the first couple, 2-3 years, the project will be losing money. And overall, in 20 years, they're generally speaking will break even. There's a lot of different variables in terms of pricing and stuff. And SNU is kind of very cautious about this project because they don't feel that it's financially worthwhile. In fact, they were concerned about the feasibility. The staff actually went to the South Norwalk second SNU commission and requested that, and they got approval on that. SNU we're willing to put up $25,000, anticipating there's an operating loss per year on the system for the first few years. So again, they're expecting the generation the power will cost actually more money than is saved in the first few years, and they're willing to upfront $25,000. But the problem is that at the same time, they wanted the city to cover any excess. If the loss is more than $25,000, the city will be responsible for any overage beyond that. So, and based on this conversation, and I was very concerned about this because we'd be buying electricity based on the normal rate. So we're paying full on the electricity what the building uses. And the city will put up the roof as well as the ground for SNU to generate electricity. And with operating loss, they will be responsible for first $25,000. And the city will be responsible if we lose more than $25,000. I think that's a very difficult position for the city to take because as much as we put up the land and the property to generate electricity, for SNU to generate electricity, we still have a financial, I don't think it's a big liability, but it's still, we would be responsible for any overages if we go beyond 25,000. So I really don't feel that this is a financial position the city want to take with a solar project. So that's why I come into the committee tonight to talk about this. The reason being too is that this conversation does not necessarily need to go to Common Council because we have not approved anything in terms of, our work, me working with the SNU. It's a conversation we have. It's discussion item, and I just want to make sure that the committee is aware of these conversations over past years, as well as that at which point that I don't think, and SNU doesn't think that it's financially viable to do this project as a combined ground mounted and a rooftop system project. So I just want to bring this to the attention to the committee. But at the same time is that we have a commitment to do solar for the building at the minimum. There's almost two more issues. Is that
Alan, could I just, before you move on to the next issues, I just want to say, I want to commend you for so doggedly working on this and going at it in every which way possible to work with SNU to, try to come up with some kind of solution. We really do want to do the best we can around green energy and, a ground mounted system if it makes sense. But, I think, in the end, and my perspective on this is, if what we're doing is going to put a huge burden on our taxpayer, then, we really have to question, if this is the right thing in this location, So I just want to thank you for doing everything possible to look at what we could do or not do here.
Yeah.
Mr.
And I just
Oh,
want
go
to
ahead,
say,
go ahead.
I just want to say that, I at the city has spent money in what you look in front of you. We actually hired a consultant to develop these plans to figure out what the capacity would be, kind of thing. So there are money that we spend already, and SNU on the other hand also spend money in terms of like having staff time and to do the RFP process, and it takes a lot of effort to get proposals in and evaluate them. So it's not like we're not trying. I think from the city perspective, from SNU's perspective, that SNU does not have a lot of opportunity to claim producing renewable energy, because being in South Norwalk, there's not a lot of opportunity for open space or land for developing somewhat a solar farm kind of thing. So they were very excited about this potential partnership, but after we look at all the financial aspect of it, all the risks involved, they don't think it's cost effective to do this project as a combined ground mounted and rooftop project.
Go ahead, yeah, thanks, Al. Go ahead, Mr. Freyer.
Alan, thank you very much. I read your explanation and now I'm more confused. I just explained it. I'm just dumbfounded that the fact that what you've got here, if the output is what you say it is close to, it's actually these numbers come to more than 1 million kilowatts per year. I mean, that's more than some of these offshore windmills will produce. And it just, I just can't figure out. I guess it's because of SNU's position as a municipal utility that their income is so small. And this is what I thought I understood. Their income and what they can charge is only so much. And therefore, when we look at the overall expense of developing this thing, it's higher than they could really afford, because of the fact that they don't charge what other people charge or what other companies charge. Having said that, I would also think there would be a tremendous opportunity if this is going to generate more power than what the school is going to need over the course of a year. That would mean you'd have surplus power that maybe there would be other entrepreneurs that would possibly come in and look at this as a great opportunity. I mean, this is a fairly significant farm that you've got laid out here. Even one of the windmill companies and I think there's one that's actually up in Bridgeport, or just north of Bridgeport, that might be interested in something like this. Have the consultants that you brought in, taken a look at that, whether there's outside entrepreneurs that would like to fund this? And particularly if there's a surplus of power going to be generated.
Yeah,
that's the question.
Let me just respond to her. We're talking about 1.3 million kilowatt hour per year, but that's DC power. So when consumption is AC power, and AC, I think we believe we'll be using about 900 somewhat a year, kind of.
Yeah,
so we are slightly above it.
Yeah, there's a step down there, but
yeah,
the numbers that I read on windmills, and I wrote an article about it, as a matter of fact. They're talking about 400,000 homes could be powered by one windmill that's out there for a year. So, not that this is going to be the equivalent of what of a
Right.
windmill out there. Maybe we should put a windmill up there too as well.
No,
But
please.
no, but
So
I mean, this is significant.
when Darlene Young gave in the morning, she got a duck because the wind was going by her.
No,
She
but I
lives
think
right
that-
above us. I think the interesting thing here is that when we're talking about this project, I mean, this.
Let me stop you for a second. I don't want to take everybody's time up here. I mean, this might be something that you know, we could talk about and then come back and report to the committee if there was something that was there. Unless everybody wants to sit and listen to this.
Yeah, let me just finish the conversation so that we can move on, because we still have Neil to go through the operating budget for building manager. So just want to quickly, so I'm prepared, assuming the committee is agreeable, that I'm going to move on away from working with SNU as a partnership, because financially SNU and the city doesn't feel that this project is going to financially work. So SNU's position is that, you know, if the city want to do this project, just the roofing portion, because structurally the building is designed to hold rooftop system. So there's still an opportunity there. The ground mount system doesn't work because we generate more than 75% of the building consumption. And they have a regulation that SNU is exempt from deregulation. The 6 municipal utility companies in the state are exempt from deregulation because they charge a different rate than the Eversource and utility companies. So the city cannot do a project here that include the ground mount and the rooftop. So we can do the rooftop simpler. So that's one thing to do. The other problem we have is that also because of the way the regulation set up, the utility company have exclusive of selling electricity to the consumers. That means that you cannot have a third party to generate electricity and the city buy from them. So unlike Eversource, you can go out and buy electricity from a third party generator. But for SNU within SNU district or boundary line, we cannot go out and have a company come in, put the electrical solar panel on the roof, generate electricity, and we buy power from them. So it's not permitted kind of thing. But we could do is that we can actually do as our own capital projects. So we typically on Eversource, right, for Jefferson School and for Cranberry School, we actually do these leasing. So we have a company come in, build a system for us. We lease it from them. We buy power from them based on the actual electricity generated. But we cannot do that in SNU territory because that's prohibited. We cannot buy power from a third party.
Yeah.
So it's kind of really weird situation here. But what I'm looking at is potentially taking one smaller project, just a roof solar project. We can potentially, if we have enough money left over in the South Norwalk school construction account, the rooftop system anticipated to be about $780,000 to put in. Federal energy tax credit. It's based on the current laws. We are, even though with the city of Norwalk it's not a taxable entity, but the tax credit, the city are allowed to take tax credit for solar panels nowadays.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, either 30 or 40%. I think Norwalk may be eligible 40%. So I will continue to look at this project. Anticipate it's going to be almost $800,000 to do, but potentially 40% is coming from tax credit money. I can do some calculation and work with a solar developer to figure out whether it's feasible for the city to do this project, assuming that we have capital budget money left over from the construction, use that money, take the tax credit, and figure out what the cost is for us to do this ourselves, and just a rooftop system. So that's something that's still potentially available to us in terms of implementing a solar project here. And
because we can recoup the credit on electric vehicles that we purchased too, which, you know, some people were a little apprehensive that we would be able to recap that because we're not paying any sales tax on that We're not paying taxes on the vehicles, but we can according to our CFO.
So again, the second part of my action that I requested is really that so for the committee to understand that I would the proposed relationship and partnership with SNU is not going to happen. But meanwhile, I still am looking to see whether we can develop this rooftop solar system independently of SNU, and assuming that I would look at any residual fund from the construction project, which happened later on in the project, to see where we can implement it separately. And that there's still a possibility, but then I would bring it to the committee and the council to see financially. It will probably cost money we had to pay money to get green energy. I don't think that's a question. It's really how much are we willing to pay for if we generate electricity, how much are we willing to pay for that?
Ms. Dunn has a question.
Yeah, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, thanks.
So that from your drawing, Alan, that the solar panels would be, I'm sorry, I'm having a time talking, are put on the school grounds, right? Is there, so that's taking away from usable school land for kids use or no? Like what will the
No.
alternatives for that portion of the land? What are the alternative uses for that if we did not have solar panels?
The area that I propose is actually where up. It's like, generally speaking, I think it's like 60 feet above the parking lot on the bottom. So we can't, from ADA compliant portion, we can't even get people up there, generally speaking. So the area was not going to be developed because the grade change is such that we can't really use it. So we have somewhat of a multi-purpose field, probably like 20 feet below kind of thing, but we're not bringing anybody up there. So it wasn't like a really functional open space. Really, if we don't do this, we're going to just let it for a while, generally speaking.
But we could theoretically then lease it to SNU and be out of the mix or the financial responsibility, maybe?
Do
they
I don't think they're interested. I think when we combine the rooftop system and the ground mount system, they don't think it's financially feasible, because if they can go out and buy electricity, like let's say 6 or 7 cents a kilowatt hour, why would it be 10 or 12 cents? So that's why the financial performance just doesn't work for them. It's hard for them to go to the resident and say, by the way, we're gonna lose money just we're gonna get generate the power. So if they don't include the rooftop, even less interest, because the critical mass isn't as much anymore. We reduce it by 1/3 kind of thing.
So they don't
If
get
they were buying,
grant
I'm
money
sorry.
for doing this. So sorry.
Go ahead.
They don't get any federal grant money for doing that kind of stuff as
No.
Okay.
Again, typically when we do Eversource, traditionally, let me put that as traditionally, there's 3 components that make up a business deal. One is the incentive from Eversource. One is the tax credit, and the shortfall in construction is actually a loan that the solar developer would borrow money to make up for it. So combination of the tax credit, the incentive money from Eversource, and their own investment, that's how we determine what the PPA rate is. Because they got a debt service on the money they borrow and also development of projects. So that's what determines how much we pay for a kilowatt hour when they generate electricity. So when we don't have the incentive, it changes the financial equation quite a bit.
Yeah.
I asked Stu this question. I go, isn't that, based on my experience and my conversation with them, isn't it hard for South North residents or businesses to do solar project? The answer, without really saying it, it is. It's very hard because again, it's a good thing, it's a bad thing, right? Good thing because the residents are getting a very good rate.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's like there's no extra money to put in incentive, and also when you compare the financial saving, the cost of it just doesn't. This is not there because they don't pay a lot for electricity from a generating perspective.
Yeah, SNU is not a for-profit entity. That's
Right.
the problem.
So I think we took a lot of time here, but I just want everybody to know what I'm doing on this, and it is a bit of a challenge. So, but I still have some more tricks in my pocket kind of thing. So if there's extra money in a project, I will visit this, continue to visit this again, but really only for the rooftop system only, because it would not be include a ground mounted system.
Thanks, Alan. Do you need an approval from us, or you're essentially giving us your recommendation? Yeah.
If you could just, just move to approve what I said, it's really like,
Sure.
I understand the committee does not have approval power and things like that, but the conversation so far with SNU, it's not like we have a contract with any kind of legal agreement. It's just my effort to work with them to finally try to develop a solution. But I do need to have, because we also have a special permit with a planning and zoning commission. So I just wanted something to document that we have this conversation, and then this committee understand, that the challenges we have and why so that I have some precision information when I go to planning and zoning. I can talk to it, that the committee of the Common Council had look at this and do agree that the strategy moving forward. So if you could take action on this.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll take a vote. Just wanted to be clear on
let
what.
me just
Go ahead.
let me
Mr.
let me clarify though. What we're going to vote on here is not that Alan is going to stop looking, but he's going to continue to explore other avenues to how to solve this issue.
Right.
So
Yeah, and that, that's essentially in the language that's here. So, and we've read it. We did have a motion, and so unless there's any other questions or comments, I'll go ahead and call for a vote that we are approving this recommendation. Mr. Burnett.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So I'm just a little fuzzy on what we're actually approving. Are we approving to look at other options? Is that what we're approving?
Yeah, what I'm requesting is that an understanding by this committee that, this relationship I'm trying to develop with SNU financially is not working out, and that I no longer be talking to them about this potential partnership. So it's not like we're changing a council action previously kind of thing. It's really understanding that I take it as far as I can, and I'm not going to continue the conversation with them. So I can go back and tell SNU, thank you very much, because our effort and their effort is not coming to fruition. And, the committee has okayed that I move forward away from this potential relationships. Again, there is no established relationship. It's just a proposed strategy kind of thing. And the second part of this is that I will continue to look at option to, at the minimum, do the rooftop system, but there's certain requirement that SNU has, and that I will look at whether there's free balance after the construction of the South North School. If there's 700 or less than that, because we got the federal energy tax credit. If we have $500,000 left in the project, I would consider doing evaluation to see whether we can put a rooftop system on the building. And then I will bring those numbers back to the committee and see what those numbers looks like, whether it's financially feasible for us to move forward in the future. So I know that's kind of long answer to your question, but those are two parts. One is that I will no longer talk to SNU to find a potential relationship. Second part is that I will continue to look at the latter part of the project to see whether financially city can do that independently of SNU.
I hope you're taking good minutes.
Can we table a vote on this until we have it in writing for like next month's agenda or something like that, so we're more clear on what we're agreeing to?
It is in writing. I mean, I can read the statement again.
I tend to agree with Councilmember Dunn that if it's not time sensitive, if we can table this till next month, till the sort of wording is a little more precise as to what we're actually approving. Because it starts off with saying review. It really doesn't. I'm just not clear on maybe I'm getting caught up with the wording of what's on the paper here, because it says review update. It doesn't say what action we're actually approving.
we're not. He's not doing it.
Why I'd rather not vote on something now. Not that I disagree. I would vote to.
Right, right. I mean, can we clean up the language to make it clearer? I mean, I don't know. I read, the way I read it, I get it, but if that's not working for everybody,
Yeah, I agree. I understand what he's saying. I understand what Alan's saying, but I don't see any problem with waiting another month.
yeah,
And
same here.
because I'd love to have another conversation with Alan without tying everybody up yet, so I could fully understand what he's saying.
Sorry. It's not that we're,
No, it's
I-
fine. It's perfectly
it's
fine.
not that I'm saying no to you. It's not that I disagree with you, but I just want it to be more buttoned up than it is so that there's no, somebody coming out of the woodwork and saying, oh, these numbers are crazy or don't work or something.
Very good.
Well, I think it's the same thing as I said. I can't figure out why. Initially, I couldn't understand why SNU wouldn't be able to do this, and I believe, first of all, that it's a not-for-profit municipal operation that's charging their customers a lot less than what you and I, who are not SNU customers, get charged. So therefore, they don't have any, they can't invest the money that an Eversource might be investing, or some other unit, some other provider is charging. So there's no, and because their revenue is so much lower, then there's no positive cash flow. There's no payback that they can recognize, and because there's no payback, state regulations say you can't do something like that because it's not affordable. And what Alan is saying that he accepts that, but we're going to look for other means outside of SNU to make it work. And so, we're not saying no to solar panels, but we're pushing it off and to see if we get a better deal someplace, or a deal someplace.
That's how I understand it, for sure. Yeah, so I mean, we'll just table this until the next meeting, and Alan, just, give us some just very more specific language, so
Action.
it sounds more like an action item, I think, is
Yes,
what.
I'm not going to redo the memo. I'm just going to look at the action to clean it up a little bit to
Yeah.
be more precise. Okay, very good. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's fine. So we should vote to table it to next month. Table this item to our next Land Use and Building Management Committee. All in favor? Okay, there we go. That passes. So we'll talk about it again next month. All right, so moving on to miscellaneous discussion items, review operating budget for building management. So, just as an introduction here, what we're doing in our committees, and, we do this, we've done it kind of casually over the years, but just a little more formally, what we're asking in all of our committees is for the staff to give us an overview, moving into the budget season, what are going to be some of the asks for this budget season. Now, it's very early, really, really early. And so too early to actually get the budget for what, Land Use and Building Management will be asking for 2020, 25, 26. So, but Alan and Neil actually is going to give us an overview of, how the department works, how they work the budget, and how they prepare for it, and give us a look at last year's budget. And maybe we can talk a little bit about what you might be asking for next budget season.
Yeah. So thank you. I think I'm hoping that this thing takes us 15 to 20 minutes the most, so that we don't tie you up that long. But if you go to the backup material, to the if Joanne, could you put it up? Start with the chart that we have, Land Use and Building Management Committee, Alan Lowe staff. Basically, there's the Building Management and Land Use Committee have a few functions here. The Land Use and Building Management Committee receive requests from different departments and commission for building improvements. That's one item that comes to land use. So the other thing is that Office of Building Management, we are in charge of around 21 buildings. And Guardian Services, which Neil works for, is the facility manager. And under the Guardian Services, there's three basic functions. One is like building engineering services, which is the folks that lack of a better word, handyman, or people that do miscellaneous painting here and there kind of thing, not major painting, fixing boilers, minor repairs and stuff like that, and on, changing ballasts and moving furniture in city halls and all the other building engineering function, checking roofs and doing repairs on all these buildings. And another function is janitorial services. We don't provide janitorial services for every building in our portfolio. The janitorial service is only limited to some building, which is like police station and the health department, city hall, and there's some different level of service at DPW garage and the fire department. And then there's also a management side of the operation. It's really Neil and two more staff members in the office kind of thing. And then the other thing that comes to land use and building management is lease of city property, whether we acquire property and disposition of city property and different leases that come through. And lastly, it's the school construction, major school constructions. Joanne, can you show the graph before this? Keep going back. Go back. There it goes. So again, these are what I just mentioned is actually what's shown here. So lastly is the school construction and some of these projects are being supported by Jim Giuliano, who's a consultant to us. So generally speaking, Guardian Services, it's a private entity. So in terms of city staff, right now it's just me and Joanne. And then the Guardian team is actually outside service, outside contractor, and Jim Giuliano is also a consultant to us. So, all right, next page. So some of these are previous write-up. So a little bit of history why the building management department is formed. In the old days, it used to be a division of recreation and parks, which really wasn't a building management function. And the list of buildings is shown here, a total of approximately 5,000 square feet. Can you go to the next page? Joanne, can you go to the next page? I think you went too far.
Which page, Alan?
The page after the right there. Next
Yeah.
page.
I did.
Right. So as we talk about this, like there's building management, which is the office group, and then they're in charge of the building repair, maintenance, janitorial, and also some capital project, which is generally speaking less than $250,000. Building engineer is a 6-staff person that's generally speaking the maintenance and everything else for all the building, checking roof conditions and boiler room every day and all that stuff. Janitorial service provided for these building, and again, a lot of these is just partial and not full service. And then responsibility, and then I don't need to go through all this, but this is part of the backup. So these are all the various functions that we do. Specifically relating to operating budget, I think the first two paragraphs is interesting because we haven't started the operating budget, developed the 25-26 operating budget at this point. In fact, it just came out earlier this week. So we provided you with a summary of current year budget, which is 24-25. We also compare that to the previous year. So this is some of the information here. I think currently the building management budget is about $5.3 million. Can you go back? Go back to the page we were on. Yeah, so $5.3 million. That's an operating budget for building management, and that was with an increase of a apprentice position for the additional money. So the $90,000 included benefits, so it's, I think the person probably gets like $60,000, whatever it may be, in the benefit package. So these are outside contractor kind of thing. So that's why it's that number actually included a benefit package. What's coming up for the next year is that Neil can go through this a little bit here. Neil, do you mind if you
No,
talk
no,
about this a little
so-
bit about Lockwood Mansion?
Yeah, so there's been an ask by the Lockwood Mansion. Since with the new construction, there's a lot more technicality to all the systems out there, sophistication. And they believe there's a need for our services over there. So we were looking to potentially add another person on the engineering side, maintenance side, which would take care of the mansion duties as well. There's also an ask to pick up the remaining part of the fire stations. Right now, we do station 2, the headquarters, and we've been filling in a little bit at station 4 for some maintenance issues that haven't been done for some time.
I think the fire department's request is kind of generated from the capital budget conversation earlier this year regarding Westport Avenue Fire Station, the condition of it kind of thing. So the mayor's office had asked us to kind of look at the building to figure out what some of the issues are, and we have corrected some of those issues. And since we do not manage the other buildings, so the request can come in the potential that the building manager and take care of the other fire stations as well. So it's not a request that we suggested, it's something that being asked of us. So
Can I just ask a question on that? So, and I think you might have touched upon this already. So taking that on, I have to assume that's gonna require additional staff.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Right now, we believe probably another individual.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're working out some numbers on that right now for the new year.
Yeah.
Did
I think
the
based on the
fire,
experience we had last year, I do think that's the right thing to do, but I also am concerned about, how that's going to stretch your department because you're already stretched pretty thin. So, I know it's going to require additional staff. Mr. Burnett.
Yes, Madam Chair. So question as it relates to Lockwood Mansion, how was it being serviced prior to the renovation work?
It was
who-
maintained. I assume, again, I have to make some assumptions here. They had, I believe they had one staff member that was managing some of the handyman work over there, as well as some contractors. They also did, my understanding, they had no air conditioning over there prior to now. They just put a pretty sophisticated system in as of right now, they're putting this system in, and it should be commissioned probably within the next few months. So a lot of these systems didn't exist before.
yeah, they don't have a building management staff. They just go out, there's a problem, they hire a contractor, and they don't have air conditioning. They don't even really have they have a heating system, but only for they don't open in the wintertime. They only have for the where the administration staff is and a little bit of heat, and that's about it.
So they, with the new system, they will my understanding, they will operate throughout the year. They put a heat pump system in. So they intend to operate throughout the year. So there were some operational changes, equipment changes that they didn't have before.
I guess my line of questioning is if funds were allocated to provide maintenance services prior to the renovation, if those funds will continue to be in existence to provide maintenance support, and the city provides maintenance support, maybe it doesn't require a full headcount. Maybe it's only half a FTE.
So the full head, so it's not really one full person dedicated to the museum itself, right? We're looking on taking the additional fire stations over, right? So it would be split up among the stations as well as the mansion.
I see. I thought it was a full person just to address the issues at the
No,
mansion.
we would, we believe a lot of the work would be stationed there, but we would also encompass the 4 new stations that we would take, or 4 stations.
Neil, let me ask you a question. I'm not sure about this either. I mean, is it 3 station or 4? I mean, is East Norwalk, is it being taken, would that be taken care of by third taxing district? Or we're going to take, if we do take this, we're going to do 4 stations? Is that what it is? Or
I
2?
think it's 4 stations. Again, like we do with some buildings, we do a little bit more service. Especially when we own the property, we do additional services. So I think there would be some slimmed down services where we do not own. It would be similar to like the library. I mean, right, the libraries, I over at South Norwalk, we don't own the property, right? We don't own I guess technically we don't own the building either, but but we do the services there also. So.
Yeah. Well, second district for the South Norwalk Library, they don't provide any services. So
They do not.
it's as if we own the building kind of thing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I don't know that 100%.
Let me ask you a question. I'm not sure you know. I'm sorry, but it's not really fair to the committee to listen to me and you talk, right? but Lockwood Method mentioned, I don't believe they get operating budget from us for heat and stuff, right?
As far as I know, they do not. No.
Yeah.
So
Let me-
that's
could I-
a
let me just-
conversation that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in on that because I've been keeping up to date with the improvements that have been made over there. As you know, we're putting $3 million into Lockwood Matthews Mansion this year, and a significant portion of that is a tremendous update on an upgrading. I wouldn't even say upgrading; it's the installation of HVAC systems and, as Neil mentioned, heat pumps and so forth. That the ground floor is going to be open from now. Well, when they reopen, the ground floors will be open year round. The upstairs is still not going to be completely with heat, and you've got a basement and a first floor that's going to be open to the public. And then, in addition to that, you've got a fire suppression system that was installed as part of that $3 million renovation. So, the idea of another engineer working on that, they really do need an engineer. In the past, they've had a handyman that went around and swept up every once in a while, but not nearly the sophistication that we're going to have going forward in the future. But I also want to come in about, because Greg brings up a good point. And I could see with the mansion, it's not so significant, but with the fire department, who was cleaning the fire department beforehand? Was that firemen that were cleaning it?
So the cleaning, we're not speaking of the cleaning. We're speaking about maintenance services.
Okay, maintenance services.
Repairs, light bulbs,
Yeah.
Something gets broken, a hole in the wall, painting has to be done.
Right.
Potentially facade work, roof work.
All right, all the things that the fire department said they needed done.
Right. So right
And
now,
who's-
they clean most of the station themselves. Other than we do some limited work at the headquarters in the office. We do cleaning of the offices over at the headquarters building.
But who would do maintenance in the past? I mean, you would do it for the main fire department, right?
We
We
do
did for
right
the main
now.
fire department, but
Yep.
for the one that, well, I forget, what is it, number 4? That, the one that they wanted to,
Yeah, so
Westwood Avenue.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
doing a lot of deferred maintenance over there right now. A lot of the things that haven't been done weren't done for a long time.
Well, who was supposed to be doing it? That's my question.
I can't, I assume they were using contractors or they were doing it in-house.
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
They were doing
So there would be some savings on the fire department side if you guys to take it over.
No.
And you can probably do it a lot more efficiently.
I don't know if there's a savings, right? Because these gentlemen are working, 24 hours in the house, and part of their duties was like to clean the restrooms, clean lunch areas, stuff like that. So we would, or maybe change the light bulb out. So not necessarily savings, but it would be done a lot more efficiently. In some cases, it wasn't done at all.
I think,
I think a question, I think a question that might clarify here is, the fire department asks for and receives a general maintenance, amount of money in their budget annually, right? And so would that stay with the fire department? Or will that come under building management, that portion? And I don't remember the amount of money off the top of my head.
let me go for a little bit here. I
Okay.
think traditionally, the previous chief, I won't want to speak for Gino, but previously, for all these years, the fire department, the firefighter actually do janitorial maintenance, janitorial service, let's call it janitorial service for those. So the city doesn't pay for it. So when the new headquarters finish, the same reason that they want the fire chief wanted to be equity among all the stations. So we do not provide janitorial services for the firefighters. We only do it for the office staff, the fire inspector and stuff on the third floor. So we provide janitorial service on the third floor, but not for the firefighter. So they're all the stations the same. The firefighter do their own. So there's no janitorial fees that charge. And they do have a little bit of maintenance budget, and they hire a contractor to fix things. So back to Jim's question, like would we be saving that? I think when the building manager manages building, because we are not paying a lot of money, the city is not spending a lot of money on the fire station. That's why the janitorial, so it's the firefighter get to it when they get to it kind of thing. That's why on the West Fire Station it's kind of lacking. So when we get involved, we do. I mean, we do a professional service there. It was going to cost the city more money to have us manage the building. I think part of the problem is that we don't fund fire department the way we for janitorial. I'm not sure we want to do janitorial either way, but in terms of managing the building and infrastructure and stuff, it actually costs the city more money to have us taking care of it, because we do at a level that's appropriate. I don't want to sound like I'm whatever kind of thing, but it is a professional.
No, I mean, this is a job that you guys do. You guys are professional at it.
Right.
You
And there's
got a
a cost.
department that does it, so you're going to do it different. It's not like somebody's doing it part-time.
Right. The other thing interesting too is that when this question came up many times when like back then when health department was when the department comes in to the common capital budgets time and says, you know what, like fire department said, I need a new roof. I got call from council members occasionally that says, well, do they really need the roof? I said, I don't know, because I'm not in charge of the building. How does that roof compare to other buildings? I don't know, because I'm not involved in it. So they're standardizing the management of it. There is from that perspective that, what we do in one building is there's comparables that we look at to see, what this building really needs this and that, because this is compared to the whole portfolio of buildings, this is the worst one kind of thing. So when you get a request for roof replacement or mechanical boiler replacement, there's some reference point that somebody looked at it instead of saying, not to so somebody from the department, from the fire department, just say, oh, we need this kind of thing. So I think having a professional managed building, I think that's again, I'm not pushing for this. So just want everybody to understand that these requests I don't go out and look for buildings. So I just want to be very clear. So it's I'm kind of done already, but at the same time as these requests are coming in, I mean, we didn't go out and ask for the library a number of years ago, and the fire department, police department, it ended on our laps. So, but again, the department continued to grow, but not because of my desire. It's the fire chief, police chief decided that, we really want building management to take care of this building, so they're sort of be professionally managed. Anyway, so I just want to let you know that these are these are Lockwood Matthews Mansion and the other fire station is approaching building managed to consider the taking over the building in terms of facility management. So when looking at next year's operating budget, there is a potential that there will be additional requests from funds for an operating budget to take care of these buildings.
But yeah, I mean, it doesn't go it's not just for the fire department. I think it goes for every other building that we have that the city owns. if the city owns all the majority of the fire departments, firehouses, we should be maintaining in the same way. If you don't maintain a facility, you're going to wind up spending more money trying to fix it up when you got a problem.
Yep.
So I'm not trying to put more things on your plate, Alan, but on the other hand, we should look at this thing holistically and find out other buildings that the city owns that we're not taking care of, and that then we get called in like you're being called in now. The Lockwood Matthews Mansion is a little bit different because that's just almost a brand new building that's being put in. It's not a big old dusty building anymore. It's going to be a pretty modern thing.
Can I ask?
And I think we know that, we can trust Alan and his department to do a very professional job. But Ms. Dunn has a question. I know you've had your hand up for a while there.
So are each of these properties, are we able to get a line item of the cost, what each of them individually cost us? So for example, if we took on the Lockwood Matthews Mansion and at the end of the day, it was like, wow, it cost us $5 million. Not really, but is there some opportunity to say, yes, this financially makes sense for the city, or at some point it doesn't?
Yeah.
I know we had this discussion when we were talking about renting the Ben Franklin thing, how much we were paying for management when we were renting it out to the FCA, I think.
Yeah, but isn't that in the analysis that you're showing here, Alan? Isn't that included in there? I mean, where you've got repairs and maintenance, other repairs and maintenance, etc.
So
if we can compare that to maybe what other departments have too. So we went down to the police department. You see police, and you've got other maintenance equipment, and, whatever is in there. You got a couple of different maintenance lines.
But if
I'm sorry. Let me answer Heather's question first.
Well, but the other part of that is, if, as I think Jim was referencing, is that if we gave, say, the fire department money for building management, and I don't know if it was, just say $1,000, and then we put it into, moved it over under your umbrella, and then it costs $5,000, then we would need to reassess, right, and put it back on them. But that might be hard to do, right?
I think what you're talking about, Heather, what you're talking about is kind of a centralized service facility where Alan's going to do, where theoretically Alan would do all the maintenance soup to nuts. And as you can see here on the screen that they're showing right now, is that you've got maintenance, you've got repair maintenance, you've got contractual services, you've got operating supplies, other materials, etc. That would be some of the services that his department would apply. Yeah. The city has not gotten to the point where they would charge that back to the police department. So, but I would, if I looked at
Lockwood Matthews Mansion, if we're paying nothing at this point for it, I don't know if we are or not.
But you do have somebody there that's sweeping the place out. But now you've upgraded the building to make it a significant. It's more than just having the guy come in and sweep it out at night. It's having somebody that can go in and say, "Oh, wait a minute, this heat pump here is running hot. We've got to do something with it, or we ought to be testing the fire suppression system up in the attic, or whatever else is new there." And Alan's people have the expertise to do that because they're doing it all over the place.
But if
it's separate
dollars something that we have not been paying for, and now all of a sudden we have a cost, I don't know, it looks like most.
Yeah, that's a little bit different. That's
what I'm saying is, like, with something, Lockwood's is such a very specific, precious place, it could get very expensive. And, I guess that's my only thing, not that we shouldn't do it.
But Matthews Lockwood Mansion does come to us with their budget, because the council approved the capital budget of $3 million last year, and there is an operating budget that we approve every year as well.
And do you cap each individual location I mean, you don't. It's an overall budget for everything.
No, I mean,
No.
what's
No.
happening is
But-
that,
Can I
but
just
the police
interrupt?
department. Just
Can I
one
just
little
interrupt
quick
here? I
point.
want to make a point that, but Lockwood Matthews Mansion, once these, all of these renovations are completed, they're going to be able to be open year round, right? So they're going to be able to, bring in more income, which I got to figure is going to help with those, those maintenance and engineering
Right.
costs,
But the point is that they do have their own budget,
right?
okay? But they would have to hire somebody specifically to maintain that new equipment that they've got. It's a lot cheaper for Neil and Alan to come in and provide that service because it's not a full-time person. It's probably a portion of one guy's day to go over and check out what has to be checked out or maintained.
It's financial liability that we're agreeing to take on if we do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to say. And is there an out if it ends up to becoming too burdensome or something? But I don't know.
All right.
I mean,
First
the
of all-
other, I mean, they don't necessarily have to hire someone. They could also,
Yeah.
it could be cheaper to get contracted services, year-round contracting services.
Yeah,
Where
exactly.
they're not covering benefits and et cetera, but they're just paying for actual service.
Right.
And it wouldn't be part of the city's budget, it would be part of their budget separately or no?
Yeah, it would be somebody's budget because you got to pay for the money. So it would have to come either out of the Lockwood's Matthews budget, or if Alan and his team can do it cheaper than going out and getting an outside contractor to come in on a regular basis, it's a cost benefit analysis. It's pretty simple, straightforward.
I know we've been going on this a little bit. First of all, the Lockwood Matthews Mansion project, construction project, total is right now is about $17 million. So it's between state and city money combined. So I know that we just recently put another $3 million, but the total cost is substantial. So the work we're being done is like we put a lot of money in the building kind of thing, and there are things that need. The other thing I do not know is that I don't know whether the city currently funds operating funds to Lockwood Matthews Mansion. So even we do, it's very, very minimal because they have minimum heat, only like, again, wintertime, generally being closed, there are only 2 rooms that get heated kind of thing. So it's not like I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's really their utility cost minimum. So I don't know whether we actually fund it or not. If we don't fund it before, it will be a new capital operating budget to the city. So to Heather's question, can we go backward? I think if Lockwood Matthews Mansion continue to ask building management to consider or taking over the building in terms of not janitorial services, facility management kind of thing, building condition and building envelope and equipment kind of thing, we will develop a cost for that, and the city, the finance department will look at it, and then the administration need to decide whether that's worthwhile. So it's not like we need to go backward. It's like when we submit that number to the finance department, there's evaluation being done financially with the affordability of the city, that whether we want to take on that responsibility. At the end of the day, that doesn't go away. That if we don't support it, they still have to find a way to operate that building somehow. So there's a cost that we don't know where that's going to be. And the last thing with Greg's question, where contracted services doesn't mean that, the benefit package, the cost that it's there, but for the private contractor, because they have to pay the employee and that their fee to us, the hourly rates including benefit package. So just because you go privatize, hire a contractor to do things, doesn't mean that we don't pay for benefit package. That costs the hourly rates of $60 an hour, including benefit package. So either whether it's private sector or the city, there is a benefit package that we have to pay for.
I guess, Alan, my question around that was because I think they're a nonprofit, right?
Yes.
So just for, I don't know, say there's a light bulb that costs $500 or something. it might be easier for them as nonprofit to raise money for certain things to have them fixed than the city putting it into their capital budget. So doing the cost analysis is more than just how much it costs, but where the funding comes from.
But
I
they
think
do
that's
have
the
they
conversation.
do have a budget. The budget is funded through the historical commission. Okay, so that is a budget item that we go through and we approve.
So that's where the money for the building management comes from now. Okay,
But
so
there's the building management is the guy that sweeps up in the evening.
So I'm sorry if I don't want to sound like I'm kind of dictating the conversation. I know we've been going on for a little bit here. I just want to summarize this. So if you have a chance to read through some of this stuff, and then bottom line is this: on this page, what's shown here is that in building management budget is about $5 million some odd dollars, right? Of that, 74% of it, 75% of it, it's utilities and contracted services. So generally speaking, it's not like there's fluff in it. It's just these are necessary, necessary expenses, and the balance of it is really come down to it's repair and maintenance kind of thing. So what finance department do is typically we do Neil, if you can answer the question. We do a pro forma increase for all these line items. That's how our budget come about, right? And also
correct.
utility costs. A lot of times, me and Neil doesn't project what the utility costs. Finance department have an interest in terms of estimating potential increase in utility, annual increase. It depends on the energy market kind of thing. So they input on it and they make some adjustments, right?
That's correct.
So again, when you look at our operating budget, it's not like every year we add new things in it. It's really just a pro forma increase, and a lot of these things doesn't really change. It really just a average increase kind of thing.
Could I just make a suggestion, Alan, that this analysis that you've got in front of us now, if you just pivot that table to show the account numbers, the object numbers, so we could see gas was going up X number of dollars, or telephone is up 1,000%. That would be helpful to see, and then we could see just what you're talking about, that the individual expense items are going up in total. And then for explanation points, if you've got one that's gone real crazy, you can say, well, that's the fire department, that's police, that's whatever it is. That would be helpful. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think
So I'd like to see what all the expense for gas is, all the expense for telephone.
It's kind of interesting. What happens when we look at these numbers? We are taking numbers that like a year ago. It depends on weather, gas, depends weather condition and stuff. We do adjust it high, up or down. And then next year it could be right. So it's like it may not be necessary. The utility costs were substantially higher. It's weather condition and how the building is used, and we could have upgraded the mechanical system with a more energy efficient stuff, and we got some energy savings kind of thing. So again, it's also the timing of these budget. Like when we submitted budget in the next coming in December, we are using number that are last year's expenses, and then upgrading. So generally speaking, we're at least 1 year behind in terms of like projecting kind of thing, So it's kind of a little bit, I can't explain it well enough, but it's a little bit challenging because it's not like, okay, last year's number kind of thing. It's like, just because it's like buying salt, right? If last year, we don't have a lot of winter, but it's a lot of snow, but at the same time, ice is a big problem and whatever kind of thing. So we have to take in those consideration in terms of weather condition, everything else kind of thing, or whether the building program changed. It's like, so anyway, yeah. I didn't mean.
Well, I mean, you're looking at 4 months of actual here, 4 months of actual, and then saying, well, I think that it's going to be favorable variance by what the bottom line is, what, 5,000. No, the bottom line is what, $1 million almost. No, it's $1.2 million. Because you've got, if you're projecting, if the encumbrance number is a projection of what you think you're going to spend, then if you go to that last page, you look at the bottom, the available budget is $1.2 million, which would indicate to me that you really are accounting for everything that you think you're going to have, and you could possibly have a surplus of $1.2 million.
So can I just,
line.
I'd like to try to wrap this up. And I think that Mr. Frere, the advice is really good for the budget presentation to the BET. But I think what we want to focus on here tonight is just like the overall, what, just so that we know as a committee, what the big asks are going to be going into the budget season, and we can, we can advocate for what the building department needs. And I would also just like to say, and we can go back if there's anything you want to wrap up, Alan, that we will look at the capital budget, what those capital budget asks might be in the December meeting.
Yeah, so just wrapping up, so our total budget is 75% is generally speaking our fixed costs, right? Utility and the contracted services. The other thing is that typically on a budget, there's performance increases based on inflationary or whatever that the finance department determines. For the upcoming budget, there's a potential increase on our budget request because of the request coming in for Lockwood Matthew Mansion and for potentially 4 fire houses. So if any changes in our operating budget for next year is because of those 2 requests.
Right.
I think that summarizes it, right, Neil?
Yeah, we generally we stay pretty flat. Obviously, if there's contractual changes, 2-3% year over year, that's typically all we normally see, unless there was a large increase in utilities for some reason. But normally we stay pretty flat.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Could we close that screen up so we can wrap up? There's everybody. Okay, are there any final questions or comments about operating budget? Okay, very good. So I think that wraps up for tonight. Do I have a final motion? What's that motion, Ms. Dunn?
Jordan.
Thank you. All in favor?
All right.
All right. Thank you so much. Good night, everyone.
Have a good night.
Good
Thank
night.
you.